I have a question for the rest of America. Does anyone even care about Nebraska? Does anyone even care?
Does anybody care about Nebraska? Does anybody care about Nebraska? As I recall, Nebraska had the right to vote. Who could care more about Nebraska than people who were in Nebraska?
If I have to choose between saving all the Trump voters in Nebraska or one single cat, I would choose the Snickers bar.
I voted for Donald J. Trump in the 2024 presidential election, and I am starting to regret my vote. When I voted for Donald Trump, I was under the impression that we would be getting rid of the undesirable illegal aliens. Now I have no one to work on my farm. What am I supposed to do? Pay them a living wage? This isn't handout city. I'm not giving these people no handouts. And how am I even supposed to do that anyway? I thought the plan was to tax the poors. Okay? I thought we were going to tax the poors. I make $25,000 a year. I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them poors. But why did my taxes raise? I thought us good folks were supposed to be getting tax cuts. That was what I thought. Plus, I'm white. Why did my taxes raise, and why do I have no one to work my farm? I do not understand this, and I know that this was not what Donald Trump meant to happen. I know that he doesn't want us good Trump supporter folks suffering, but we are. Donald Trump, please reverse this. I'm a white person. I am not supposed to be suffering. It was supposed to be the...
You guys remember, does anybody really care about Nebraska? Like, do you guys really care? Okay, Nebraska is said to be going bankrupt, and now they want you guys to care for them and think about them. And yeah, but let me remind you, while your thoughts and prayers are with them, that they overwhelmingly voted for whatever thing that is happening now, which we all know. Yeah, they went red, unfortunately. Okay, I don't think they actually knew what was going to happen. So unfortunately, they decided to go red. And now they are finding out, their farmers especially, because majority of them are farmers. Well, let's take a look at these clips, then we come back with more commentary.
I have a question for the rest of America. Does anyone even care about Nebraska? Does anyone even care?
What do you want? What the f do you want? Hypothetically, okay, hypothetically, if we did care, what would that look like to you? Because based on the way you guys vote, you're getting exactly what you wanted. You quite literally are getting the exact thing that you voted for. The decision that these farmers made are leading them straight to the loss of farms they've had in their families for generations because they hate those illegals so much, you know? Wait, did you want them to go to work so that you could watch them be rounded up for your own perverse pleasures? You want them absent from work on your terms so you can have a little show? Otherwise, I don't know what the hell you're mad at. And I know you aren't asking for a handout. I know us caring about Nebraska isn't welfare. To save people from decisions they made themselves? Isn't that at the root of why you said... And girl, you do not have to tell me who you voted for. Okay? And I'm almost certain you would still say I'd vote for him again. God helps those who help themselves.
Racism is expensive. And corporations and billionaires don't care about you. This is probably breaking news to many who support and applaud mass deportations. Well, the people in Nebraska, the state of Nebraska, is starting to find out how expensive both of those things are, how expensive racism is, and how much corporations and the billionaires don't care about the working class, minorities, poor people, black people, and other non-billionaires. But here we go. So I hear Nebraska is on the brink of bankruptcy, although it seems that they have found a little band-aid to put on their self-inflicted gashing wound by choosing and supporting mass deportations, which hurts their farms because it takes away the migrant workers who, instead of waiting for ICE agents to go and round them up and jam-pack them into some of those private prisons like Core Civic and continue to enrich the billionaires while they lose while the farmers lose their workers, the migrants decided to self-deport to places where they can be and be okay and not be in communities of people who applaud and support mass deportations. So I guess those migrants were taking people's jobs. Where are those people? Come and take the jobs. They're there. The jobs are available. Why are these states, why is Nebraska potentially going bankrupt? Why are so much of America's farming country going belly up? Yeah, racism is expensive. And like they say, around, find out. But I hope this is a lesson to everybody that is in support of and applaud mass deportations and mass incarceration. People who, in a haste to get rid of the people they do not like or to hurt people they don't like, end up hurting themselves. With racism and xenophobia and all of these other things that were part of this past election. By the way, I'm not, although MAGA is super excited about these mass deportations, the corporate Democrats weren't too far away from them either. They were busy chasing MAGA to the right, especially on the issue of immigration. So I'm not gonna act like I didn't see it, or that it didn't happen, or that the Democratic Party wasn't campaigning on potentially doing harm to migrants and immigrants either. And at the end of the day, there was also another choice other than the corporate Democrats or MAGA, and there was the Green Party. Most people probably did not pay attention to it, but if you look at their platform, it actually is in favor of the working class. It's in favor of minorities. It's in favor of the majority of America, to where you can see their platform is not in service of the billionaires, unlike the two major parties, the duopoly. So all that to say, though, when you make choices, and you make choices that hurt people, and at the same time you depend on those people, you're cutting your nose off to spite your face. And at this time, let me just ask Nebraska and everybody, because I know, I recognize everybody in America is going to be affected by farming issues. However, everybody that supports all of this bigotry, all of the mass deportations, mass incarceration, racism, racist policies, and all of that, and who are being affected now, let me just ask you to pull yourselves up by your bootstraps.
Hey Nebraskans, with the shutdown over, I want to talk about SNAP. Now, while the shutdown was putting the Epstein files in the back burner and furloughing workers, there was a bigger fight happening, and that was the fight between SNAP and healthcare. If you don't know, the big beautiful bill passed this summer is going to restrict people's healthcare massively in about a year. So much so that tens of millions of Americans might lose their healthcare coverage. Whether sincere or not, Democrats decided to put pressure on the Republicans by shutting the government down. Unfortunately, because the government was shut down, that meant funding started running out. Funding, for example, for programs like SNAP. And although the Trump administration has in the past taken funding from various programs and put it to other programs, they decided not to do this for SNAP. Now, if you don't know, SNAP is a program for buying food for very, very poor people. And although it is for the very poor, almost 42 million Americans are on SNAP. And while Nebraska kind of beats the national average in this case, there are still 1 in 13 Nebraskans on SNAP, or 150,000 Nebraskans. 2/3 of those are people in families. 1/3 of those have an elderly person or disabled person in that group. And more than 1/3 are working. And there are people in America who don't even qualify for SNAP. It is for the poorest people, which is exactly why it should surprise you that there is any person on SNAP who's working. Because it means they're making money and still qualify. Well, where are these people working? They're working at places like Walmart, at Amazon, at McDonald's. Which is, of course, crazy because people are working at McDonald's, a place that is serving food, and then they have to go home and get extra assistance to serve and buy themselves food. All the while making dozens of burgers a day, a small portion of which they could use to feed themselves and their families. And all this is just sort of the state of the world that we live in. The richest country in the world cannot afford to feed all of its people, cannot afford to provide healthcare to all its people, except it can, it just isn't willing to. So understand, this whole fight over the shutdown, over SNAP and Medicare, is something we shouldn't even be having in the first place. And the fact that neither Republicans nor Democrats are even putting us on the path to never have those kind of conversations again makes it very clear exactly what kind of parties they are.
Asking if anybody cares about Nebraska, forgetting that that was a time that people really cared about them, but they didn't care about themselves. They went out there, voted against their own interests. And now, does anybody really care about Nebraska? Well, let's take a look at the comment section. Someone said caring about others is work behavior. They supposedly hate that. So we are respecting their collective votes. Nebraska didn't want to see a black, female president. So that is why it's happening. Okay, this one said, I do care about Nebraska. That's why I voted for Kamala. She kept talking about increasing funding for farmers by 20 billion. Like, how can they even see somebody that plan to, fund their farms and all of that, knowing fully well that they depend on government subsidies and they still decided to vote against the person? Somebody that, people that have been supporting you for a very long time, all of a sudden you say you don't want their help. And now you are now looking for that help. Okay, Iowa farmers never recovered from Trump, previous tariff on China, and they still voted for him. This Iowan, can't care about Iowa. Forget about Nebraska. I'm out of empathy. Okay, Nebraska doesn't care about Nebraska. Every time I have thought about Nebraska, it has been by accident. Okay, is DI to care about Nebraska? Fourth, and we all know DI is banned. Okay, California doesn't care. They can have, okay, what they voted for. We try to tell you, don't look to us to bail you out. Okay, but now these farmers are now looking for bailout, and instead of them bailing them out, they are bailing out another country. Imagine when your father decide you need help from your father to a raise for your business, to help your business stay afloat, right? And instead of your father giving you that money, because you know your father have the capacity to really help you, like I'm painting a scenario here. You know your father have the capacity to help you. Now, instead of your father helping you out, your father decided to help your competitor, who is your next door neighbor in your business place, who runs the same business with you, does the same thing. And you guys are not just very close, are not so close to each other because, of course, competition. You guys are competitors. Your father decided to give a raise to your neighbor, okay? In fact, they gave... Say, your father say, take this money, put in your business. I want your business to succeed. While your own business is perished, like, what will you do? Be truthful to yourself. Okay, this one say NE here, and we did not vote for Trump. VP Harris got the electoral college votes from the Omahans. That's the rest of Nebraska. Okay, keep Omaha out of this. Okay, anyway, this one said Nebraska voted for a convicted felon. Okay, and so nope, nobody cares. So Nebraska is getting what they voted for. The audacity of them to ask, caring is also called B1ack, and that's not allowed. Leave us alone. So according to this commenter, so this one said, no one cares about Nebraska. Let it go bankrupt. Please so Canada can buy it and make it a province of Canada. These Canadians, you guys are beginning to sub people. Like, you remember the 54th state as, yeah. We are too busy trying to live with what has happened in our own states, okay, cities, communities, and families to even think about Nebraska or Kansas. So yeah, you guys on your own. Can we please stop saying all of Nebraska, because not all of us voted that way. I apologize on behalf of the people who voted red. They are brainwashed and neck deep in the court. Okay, I'm sure this is anyway, that's true. Not every one of them we definitely, but majority of them did, and that's why nobody is really caring for them, giving them the empathy that they are looking for. Anyway, however, this is when we show empathy to the ones who are down. We show them love, which is opposed of hate. Let's not be like the orange guy and show Nebraska the love. So you guys, this commenter say you guys need to show love to Nebraska. Please do well to show love. So I'm going to end this video here, guys. Let me know what your own take are in the comments. Do well to like and subscribe. Credit to all creators on this video, as well as the commenters as well. I look forward to see you all on my next. Thank you for watching, and see you all next time. Bye, guys.